On November 12, 2012, what at first seemed to be a loving and thriving family in the beautiful town of Willoughby Hills in Cleveland, Ohio, what was brewing behind the scenes would finally unmask and present something truly horrifying. Between 1 to 2 a.m. the next morning, a police officer made their way to the family home due to a frantic call made by a terrified 13-year-old girl, Meghan Knoeful. The police officer saw the girl outside, clearly in distress, gripping a phone. She told the police officer that she wanted whatever horrors that were happening inside to stop. At this, the officer rushed into the home and made his way to the parents' bedroom and called out. And what happened next was something truly horrifying. Hello and welcome. Before we begin, viewer discretion is advised, as this case contains details that some may find disturbing. This is the Knoeful family. In 2012, they lived in Willoughby Hills in Cleveland, Ohio. Kevin, the father, worked an honest job as a truck driver. Lisa, the mother, worked as a social worker. She dedicated her career in helping families and children. Then we have the 3 daughters, 3-year-old Haley, a happy and lively little girl, 13-year-old Meghan, who loved routines, and finally 18-year-old Sabrina, the foster daughter. They all lived in a lovely home where they had a fun front yard, a place where they built beautiful memories. Tragically, this would all seemingly be forgotten on the fateful day of November 12th. During the evening, Kevin was out doing his job, whilst Lisa was at home caring for the children. It was a typical day at first, nothing unusual. At around 10 p.m, Lisa brought Haley to bed, tucking her in. Haley would often retreat to the parents' bedroom seeking warmth and love, and she would sleep with them. Not long after 10 p.m, Meghan went to her own room. Sabrina stayed up late in the office, working on her school project. Everything seemed normal. At around midnight, Sabrina decided to call it a night and went to bed to try to sleep. The problem was, she wasn't able to. She had a numbing headache, and for quite some time, she would toss and turn in bed, trying to sleep, but it was futile. After this, she got up and walked down the stairs of the family home and walked towards Kevin and Lisa's bedroom. Everyone in the home except Sabrina was fast asleep. It was silent, and in the faint light, Sabrina had taken some medication to try and reduce the numbing effects of the headache. It is not known what had happened between her taking the medication and the unexpected nightmare that occurred shortly after. But yeah, not long after Sabrina had taken the medication, she went into Lisa's bedroom with malicious intent. The next morning, Meghan was woken from her deep slumber, only to hear the unsettling noises of a struggle. It's unnerving to think about what 13-year-old Meghan was thinking at this time. And what about innocent 3-year-old Haley? Screams, cries, all coming from their parents' bedroom. What could possibly be going on? Meghan, fearing the worst, had rushed to her parents' room and stumbled upon a scene so graphic and unthinkable. Her sister was covered and smeared in devil red, gripping a sharp object. Her mother had suffered catastrophic injuries. Apparently, Lisa was stabbed 178 times to the head and around her body. You can imagine the horror and fear that Meghan would have felt upon seeing something like this. It was an inescapable nightmare. Unfortunately, by the time help arrived, it was already too late. Lisa succumbed to her injuries due to massive blood loss. To top it all off, during the whole thing, poor Haley was hidden in a closet, imagining the worst and hearing her mother suffer. The police officer that came made his way down the hall and called Sabrina to come out. Sabrina Zunick, the foster daughter, walked out absolutely drenched in blood. It was evident that she was in shock and crying uncontrollably. She had cuts all over her hands and the back of her neck, indicating that Lisa tried with all her strength to stop this vicious attack. The officer attempted to ask her questions, but it was pointless. She was in no state to answer. Regardless, the whole grim scene pictured it almost perfectly for the officers, as well as Meghan witnessing this whole thing from her very eyes. It was clear what had happened, but more importantly, why has this happened? What motive could drive a mother's child to commit such acts of unimaginable violence? Why would an individual want to do these things to the very person that loved them and cared for them? This realization completely baffled the community and authorities. We are going to look at Sabrina's past. She was born in October 1994, and tragically she grew up in a troubled family where both her biological parents had criminal backgrounds. 10 years earlier, in 1984, Susan, Sabrina's mother, had spent 6 months in prison due to stealing, and later she would serve more time due to handing teenagers drugs. Sabrina's father was also troubled and was arrested on many occasions, which involved driving under the influence and other matters. Naturally, this had a profound impact on Sabrina growing up. During school, it is known that Sabrina got into quite a lot of fights. As other students put it, she wasn't the type of person you'd want to mess with because she would immediately retaliate. Amongst anger issues, she was diagnosed with ADHD, and over time more issues rose. She abused drugs and was involved in the act of stealing, all concerning issues, and it was evident that she needed help. Eventually she was moved to a foster home where the Knoeful family welcomed her with open arms. And all of a sudden her troubling behaviour dropped to an encouraging level. Perhaps this was the change she needed after a difficult upbringing. At the time it was doing wonders for her. She was doing pretty well at school, and her excellent attendance was something to make a note of considering her troubling background. Lisa Knoeful had a lot of experience dealing with all sorts of individuals, particularly troubled kids, and so she understood how love and compassion can really change an individual's life for the better. As you can imagine, she wanted to share this love and compassion with Sabrina, a child who seemingly grew up void of any real love. Lisa met Kevin Knoeful in 2006, and they both fell in love with each other. They had common interests, and the both of them were also married beforehand, where Lisa had her first child, Meghan, with a previous partner. 2 years later, in 2008, they moved into the beautiful family home, and just 1 year later, Hayley was brought into the world. From the outside looking in, it seemed as though this was just an ordinary loving family. However, all you can see is the tip of the iceberg, and there were alarming things going on in the background. Sabrina had made noticeable improvements with her behaviour being welcomed into the family, but of course, issues including her anger would still be prominent. Sabrina and Lisa would often get into heated fights over various things, and over a course of time, resentment was building up within Sabrina. She felt like the odd one out, like Lisa favoured her other children over her. She began to look towards Kevin, her foster father, for love and support, and their relationship would grow. However, as their relationship grew, it took a disturbing and twisted turn. According to Sabrina's friends, they felt extremely uncomfortable with how the both of them were interacting with each other. It had reached an alarming level of closeness, and well, you can use your imagination. But the fact of the matter is, this disgusting man was grooming and manipulating this girl. Ultimately, Kevin's manipulative and inappropriate relationship with Sabrina would end in complete horror for the family. Sabrina stated that she felt valued and truly loved when she was with Kevin, and at one point Kevin said to her that they needed to keep this relationship a secret from the rest of the family, further confirming his ill intentions. As time went on, Sabrina's relationship with Kevin only grew, and her relationship with Lisa only grew more resentful and distant. A few months before the tragic incident had taken place, police officers were sent to the Knoeful family home. Lisa had phoned 911 due to Kevin choking Meghan, but Kevin dismissed this and said that he only grabbed her by the back of the neck. Not long after this, Kevin admitted to Sabrina that he wanted to be with her openly, meaning he wanted to divorce Lisa. Kevin even went as far as to talk with one of his close friends about his inappropriate relationship with his foster daughter, and how Lisa had suspected what was going on. On the day of the nightmare, Kevin was out doing his job, and at some point while he was out and about, he received a call from the police to let him know about the horrific ordeal that had happened. Apparently, Kevin immediately asked where his daughters were. However, when the police talked with Kevin in person, they were baffled by how chill and relaxed he was, and they questioned him on that. Kevin responded by saying that he used to be an EMT and was no stranger in seeing blood and death. I mean, regardless of whether you have experience in that or not, we are talking about someone close to you, or someone you're supposed to be close with, and they have been murdered and you are acting chill about the whole situation. This just goes to show how disgusting and maniacal this man really is. What the police also noticed was that he was more interested in Sabrina's whereabouts, and got continually frustrated with that. He demanded to be put on Sabrina's visitor list. He seemed as though he was completely apathetic to the fact that his wife had been indeed murdered. When Sabrina was questioned on the tragedy that had transpired, she was adamant that her mind went blank the moment she entered Lisa's bedroom. In any case, there was sufficient evidence to prove that she was guilty, even if the motive that the investigators were trying to dig out of Sabrina wasn't totally clear. Officers arrested her and she went to prison. Kevin, on the other hand, seemingly unbothered by the fact that his wife had met that foul fate, used his wife's life insurance money to spend it on cars, a new house, and even flying lessons, while Sabrina was sat in jail facing the consequences of her actions. Around this time, it appeared that Kevin's manipulation and grooming of Sabrina to get what he wanted had been a success. Almost a year later after the tragedy, Sabrina had a lot of time to think about her actions. She decided to cooperate with investigators to testify against Kevin and his role in the murder of his wife. Kevin was later charged with conspiracy to aggravated murder and sexual battery. He was given a life sentence of 30 years. In the end, a loving woman and caring mother was taken away from her innocent children and those who knew her. Her compassion and love has helped many families and children. May this dearly loved mother rest in peace.